Alright. Let's pray to God above that Troper and Shuda don't cause my brain to completely melt today. Oh good, Troper, you're already here. Good to see you, bestie. So I think as we previously spoke about, it's you are first, and then it's Shuda, and then Layman is fifth. Do you want all three to go back to back, or are you okay with that order of you, then Shuda, and then a little break, and then back to you? Zach G, it is in fact time to maul. Right? Isn't this rat cute as fuck? Somebody had me hold it up to turn it into a rat token. G-Unit, I've not played very much Shadow of the Erdtree. I really like what I've seen so far, but I've only done the first boss. And so, here's what happened to me when I walked into Shadow of the Erdtree. I walk in, I see the Chakram bitch that I have made a TikTok video about. I think this is how I die. I should go down swinging. And so I fight it fair. I barely beat it. A huge accomplishment for me, who is bad at Elden Ring. And I think, okay, the DLC is going to be tough, but we got this. We can get through this as a team, me, myself, and I. I travel approximately 200 feet, and a bad Wolverine reference does one overhand swing, and I fucking die from full health. And after that, I decided, alright, no more fair fighting. We are speedrunning this. And I took off my clothes, and I sprinted at full speed until I found a boss room, and then I sat in the corner as I watched my Mimic Tier cutscene his ass. And now I have 3 Shadow Tree fragments, and I feel much better. And this is the strategy I will be continuing to employ until my Scrooge blessing is however high it needs to be for everybody and their mother to not brick me just because they make contact with my little baby skin. That is how Shadow of the Erdtree is going for me. Outer Zevin, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend, for 2 months in a row. I submitted a deck to be roasted this month. Can I switch it out with another deck? Yes, Zevin, just give me... just email me with the username you signed up with and what deck you want to have done instead, and we can edit that for you. Silky Wilkie, I'm on 40 vigor. I was on 40 vigor and 0 Scrooge fragments. It hurt, man. It hurt me. It cut me deep. I don't know what the fuck I was supposed to do. Frozen, yes. I have not shared these Google Slides publicly yet because so far they're not super helpful. I think this is becoming, this is going to become something that will be shared with the public when I think it's in a space to actually help the public. Right now it's just going to be referenced and built out as I establish more of my manifesto through reviewing y'all's decks. Hlud, yes, I am still playing Henzy. I'm making a very high power version of mine to play against my girlfriend's Talion deck. Any thoughts on a luge, the big fish elemental from Bloomborough? We deserve it. Blue deserves it. I'll take a high tide for my first spell every turn. Is fair as hell. Ashley Whitlock, are there slots open for next month? Yes, and there are still... I think there are still slots open for this month, in fact. Oh, how do I feel about Flubs Madness? Let me show you how I feel about Flubs Madness. My boy Bean sent me this this CEDH Flubs deck. Y'all want to know what peak performance looks like? It is Turbo Fool. Just look at this shit. CEDH is defined by focused decks, powerful cards, clever words, and smart plans. If you want to reject all that, play Flubs. When your opponents are playing or talking, you can stare at the nearest wall while a deep peace blooms in your head and heart. So, like, look at this shit, you guys. Okay. So we have Gemstone's Cavern. So we can get mana of any color. We will need that. I think we will exile Faithless Looting. And then because we don't have a forest, yeah, we'll keep this and we'll try to make it rock. So we'll draw. Perfect. Perfect. So turn 1, pre-game action Gemstone Caverns. We Chrome Mox this for green. We play this. So we're gonna put... we can't even put Dockside on the stack because there's nothing to copy. So we're going to put this on the stack. Pay for it with green. So we make 3 green. We get rid of this shit. Oh, and then we're fucked. So we would have had to make blue, and so we can't even Sylvan Tutor. So we dump our hand. Turn 1, we dump our hand with Lion's Eye Diamond to play Flubs. This is turn 1. We have nothing. We will win on turn 2. We're going to get a land. We will draw for Flubs. We will play Springleaf Drum. We will draw for Flubs. We will play Stomping Ground. We will draw for Flubs. We will fucking pass. We will go to our next turn. We will pass. Okay, so now we have 1/2 of our food chain infinite. This, that, and that. Draw a card. 0 mana. Draw a card. Land. Draw a card. Food chain. And at this point, we win the game. Because we play food chain. We exile Squee. Infinitely cast Squee and just rip through our entire deck, and then we win with like Brain Freeze or something. I think this hand does the same thing. I think we dump this and fuck Cloud of Fairies. So we're gonna play this. Fuck Commercial District. Play this. Play Flubs. Next turn. We'll play Expiration. Dump that. Play this. Dump that. So now we have another turn off. Alright. Wild Growth this shit. Surveil 1. Keep that on top. Draw it. Play that motherfucker. Draw this. Play that. Draw this motherfucker. Play him. Oh my god, we already have Breach. We don't want Breach yet. But you just do this the whole time, and it's fucking hilarious for every second of it. Felix Royale, thank you for the 9 months at tier 1 in a row. Welcome back to the dog home. Hey, what's good? I just got back from Ireland and visited the island in Star Wars 8. It was beautiful. That sounds like a really fucking good time, Felix. Jarthur93, thank you for that 1 month at tier 1. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. So anyway, yes, Flubs is hilarious. Play Flubs. I think Flubs madness is the perfect example to me of people that think they have broken Flubs when in reality they have done what I said in my video, which is to mitigate the downside of a commander that says landfall, kick yourself in the dick. Outside of the like 5 madness cards that are just free cast, madness is pretty fucking bad. And so everyone who thinks, oh, I've cracked the code on Flubs because I'm discarding for madness, is really just like, you have found a way to mitigate, you found a way to build around your commander that has a built-in downside. And I think every commander, or at least like 70% of commanders, should be like Flubs rather than this like generic everything is upside all of the time. Why do I feel people be sleeping on Bristly Bill Shade? Nobody is sleeping on that dude because he's a fucking prick. Tis. Alright, so we're going to get into the deck rows for tonight. For anybody that hasn't been here before, you send me a power level, a primer, and the deck in one word. Your power level, however, is not 1 through 10 because that shit is fake and not real. Your power level is silly, spooky, or scary based on how ominous your individual turns are. Originally developed by DannyPhantom.exe and plagiarized by me. We're starting tonight with Troper, who has sent in a spooky deck. Jundam Verb, a term originally created by Alex Stacey of Loading Ready Run, defined as just get 'em. Outvalue, crush, and BTFO your opponents through value. Goon, verb, to act in the mannerisms of Henzy Toolbox Tory or mid-1920s goons. It's da bat, get 'em. Let me speak to the boss. Yeah, boss, you tell 'em. Behold my stuff, noun. A commander deck archetype designed around showing off your cool cards whose win condition is best summarized as ... Anyway, this is my Henzy deck. There's a primer, but don't click it until you realize what's up. Also, you can permanently turn tags on by default by going to settings, yada yada yada. I don't need to know that shit because it's already done. Get shit on, Troper. Jordan, thank you for the 1,000-bit cheer. Holy shit, that is very generous of you. Welcome to Dog Heaven, my friend, and good to see you. Alright, so anybody that hasn't worked with our Lord and Goonier, Henzy's a good time. Henzy inextricably leads to people losing the game. Sometimes it's you, because people rightfully target you when you play a 10-mana Eldrazi for 5 mana, but he is a good time. He plays things with hammers to kill you with hammers. The works cited, I'm assuming these are the things taken straight from either my Henzy list or every Henzy list in the world. God bless you for this Atali. You definitely should have had both Atalis, though. Your corpse will serve us well. Alright, so this is all a cornerstone of Henzy is... A cornerstone of Henzy is cheating the sacrifice trigger on his blitz to defraud the life insurance agents. These are all very good ones. I'm very familiar with most of these except for Vivian because I don't fuck with planeswalkers, although she is sick. Service heroes. Alright, we have more trigger cheating. Worst, the 7 cards in the deck you don't want to sacrifice. 2 of which you couldn't because they're instants and sorceries. I would question, honestly, I'm gonna keep it so real. Chaldea Guardian is bait. You think because she's thick and she could beat you up and she has a synergy with your Henzy Blitz trigger, you think that she's good. She is not. You don't want 2/1/1s. You want more of these fuckers. If people can kill you before you can kill them, that is a failure in your ability to goon. And you don't need chump blockers. You don't need them. Skeleton Divine Death Blast. All of these board wipes. So Deathbringer Regent, I also personally push back against. The primary reason being the ideal end spot of a Henzy deck is that you have found a way to turn this Blitz trigger into permanent creature advantage. You come in saying this is fair because I have to sacrifice the trigger, and then at some point, hopefully between turn 3 and 5, you play a card that lets you take that sacrifice trigger and go yoink or boing flip, and then you either get to keep the creature permanently or you get to trade it for a different creature with, like, in loving memory of James Somerton. Who the fuck is James Somerton? This deck has more unnecessary sacrifices than World War I. Tragically, the funerals for all of them were interrupted by a Tali bursting forth from the grave each and every time during the eulogy. Only check the primer after it clicks. I feel like this is going to go straight over my head because I know I've seen James Somerton's name referenced, and I have no earthly idea who the man is. Crunch. So this is our removal. But anyway, so Deathbringer Regent, regardless, your goal is to have played one of these things and then cheated them back out. And so Deathbringer is really just like a kill Henzy button for the most part. Oh, god damn it, it's my own deck. So this deck has no pathetic cards except for the ones Mauled put in there. I put Deathbringer Regent in this fucking deck? There's no way. Hold on. Everybody look away. This must be the one I gave to the normies. This must be the deck I gave to the public and not the Henzy list I use personally. Hold on, let me check out, let me find my Moxfield password. You motherfucker, Troper. I can't believe you would let me hate on my own deck like this. Where is it? Where is my password manager? I'm gonna fucking fix you. Okay. It is not password 123. There we go. All right. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is, in fact, the $50 Henzy list I presented to the public. I maintain this is still bad. This is still a option that I put in for $50 get off the ground running. So actually, let's look back at all the things that you shouldn't use. Vivian's still good. You should still use Vivian. Chaldea Guardian is bait. This is one of the first things that I think I took out of, or a section that I didn't include a lot on the video is what you should cut for these upgrades. And Chaldea Guardian is one of the first things you should cut for upgrades. In my deck, I cut it for Samut. Now this name looks, this is brilliant. So yeah, let's upgrade. Let's upgrade my own deck. And I will give you these upgrades from the perspective of the problems I've noticed playing with the deck myself, because I also started from that public list and then made a lot of tweaks. All of this ramp I think is fine. I would cut Soul Ring. I legitimately, having played with the deck multiple times, the biggest issue is always fixing pips for Henzy. I very rarely had games where the extra mana from Soul Ring is make or break early. Early, the make or break is just, do I get good lands out? Do I get these mana rocks out to fix things? Do I hit this ramp to look for selective lands? And then as long as I can cast Henzy and get to like 4 mana sources, any of these are fine. I've also noticed, I think that Greater Harvester is also a feels bad card. I love it. I think you do have to be careful about where you include it, because if you ever flip to it, we have a number of like gambling adjacent things in this deck, like Industrial Advancement or Kethic or Evolutionary Leap. But Evolutionary Leap doesn't put it onto the field, so that one's okay. But Industrial Advancement and Kethic can flip into Greater Harvester, and you only ever want to blitz it. And practically, when I have played this card, it has always felt like bullying. And so at your table, it may be keepable. It has always felt like anybody that this can swing through on, they're sacking 2 of their 4 lands and they don't get to play Magic the Gathering anymore. It is rarely the type of like, good stuff. It's rarely the type of good, upstanding bullying that I want there to be, and is often just feels a little mean. Or here, let's pull up my personal Henzy list so we can examine some of these differences. Ignoble Hierarch and Birds, again, anything you can do to fix your mana is super good. I would put in other Atali as well. I would probably drop Greater Harvester. There's a feature to compare decks. God damn. All right, so here are all the swaps I made. I would put Primal Conqueror in my personal list. I just need to proxy it. I think Cauldron of Souls is allegedly such hot tech. I don't believe in it. I would not play Cauldron of Souls just because it costs so much, and I have not once in all the times I've played this Henzy deck, I have never gotten the Cauldron of Souls persist reanimate thing to go off. So I think this is way too aspirational. The only reason I don't play Elder Brain is because it would make my girlfriend really mad at me. Which, baby, can you come tell me how you feel about this card I'm considering adding to my Henzy list?
I already hate it. What?
So it's Elder Brain. It's a 6/6 with Menace, and whenever they attack, exile all cards from your hand, and then you draw that many. But I can play all the cards that I exiled from your hand. So I like wheel you, but I get everything that was wheeled away.
That's actually funny as shit.
Oh my god, never mind. We're keeping Elder Brain. We're keeping Elder Brain.
So, yeah,
we're so back! And then all the other ads, I would really say that like a lot of this, even though I love it, I would say that a lot of that initial Henzy list does fall under like the sponsored by Erdtree, because I think a lot of it is highly generic. I think Mikaeus the Unhallowed is possible. I've never personally liked him because he is just... What did I not like about this guy? I think he felt too expensive for a setup piece. With my deck, I usually felt that like everything, all of my setup should stop at 4 mana. If it costs more than 4 mana, it's not worth keeping in as a setup piece, and that's also why I'd recommend cutting Cauldron of Souls. Great Henge functionally is not 9 mana. Great Henge typically, because your blitzing comes in with like for 3 or 4 mana. I probably should put Skullspore Nexus in there. I believe that he runs away with the game. I've just typically found that the 4 mana pieces do it just as well, and after I have access to 6 or more mana, I'm better off blitzing a bigger thing. Like if I would say Mikaeus seems like a card that feels really good if you have it on turn 6 or turn 5. If I draw Mikaeus on turn 8, I probably need to do something much more explosive than set up to cheat more later. And so that's why I try to stop all of my setup at 4 mana, because at 4 mana, if I draw it on turn 8 or 9, I can usually play it and blitz something else in to get value off of it. Whereas if I am turn 8 or turn 9 playing Mikaeus, I'm probably just playing him, passing with 1 to 3 mana open, and then I might just get my back blown out. Whereas if I am using like Whip of Erebos, I can probably blitz in either something like Homura, or I can blitz in something like Ilharg after. And so then all of the... Did my early builds consider scam cards to reanimate stuff stacked to the blitz? Yes, they did, and I think I still even have one. Undying Malice has been a trap every time I would cut it. I've never... I feel like this is the type of thing that works better in Constructed, where you can have multiple copies of things, because every time I've fished for an opportunity to Undying Malice, I've done it a few times, but it's paid off far fewer times than it has legitimately worked. And so I think the hit rate on it, I think, is too low to justify keeping. But overall, like, the thing with most of these decks is they are really, really generic. They don't have flavor much deeper than I'm going to beat you to death with hammers, and that reliability is good in many ways. But from a roast perspective, this is, Maldhound's Henzy deck as brought to you by the 99 most popular Henzy cards on Erdtree. There's a couple things that I put in that aren't just overwhelmingly popular, like in every single version of the deck, but I do think that Henzy is one of my commanders that would really benefit from having a highly specific gimmick rather than just, haha, Henzy's cool. Crazy Moves, thank you for the $5 super chat. If you didn't know, I'm doing a deck building challenge. Every time you beat one of your numerous dead horses, I add 1 land to a deck. I look forward to your 99 land Child of Alara deck. Would benefit from owning a printer. I mean, that's what I think on the Commander Catwalk, I have Henzy, but your printer works. How does Ancient Brass Dragon look in this deck? Ancient Brass Dragon is a fucking non-stop house. Yeah, the Dragon Reanimator, absolute king, unquestionable keep. So Troper, thank you, and fuck off. I hope I've given you a few cuts and ads to think about. So yeah, I would say Greater Harvester on the bubble. Chaldea Guardian, 100% a trap. Deathbringer Regent, 100% a trap. Undying Malice, also a trap. Soul Ring, also a trap. From here, we're going to move on to my Sleep Paralysis Demon, Shuda, who's brought a scary deck. I'm sorry, I have lied to you all. This is my Nekusar deck, but it's not a deck meant to be brought out unless someone has wronged me grievously in D&D or MTG and have entered my Book of Grudges. This deck is what needs to be played to be struck from that book, to be redeemed. This is not a cry for help. This is not a plea bargain. This is not a trauma response. This is an ultimatum. You want to improve it, make it more suffering. So this is Shuda's Death Note. Unlike Troper, you'll want to start with my primer. Oops, all suffering. War never changes. The end desire of all those who celebrate this grand conflict is that simple point of victory, but they are always willing to lose everything in order to achieve it. While man's triumphs and struggles breed newer, more efficient ways of killing those who oppose one's will, there are those who will prefer the simple base killing power of rock and stone. There are those even further still who know that the only way to truly defeat your opponent is to defeat yourself. And so the group of 4 descend upon the battlefield once more, because war never changes. August 19th, 10:36 p.m. Troper agrees to an alliance with Shuda. Together, they will destroy the table. August 19th, 10:37 p.m. Troper counterspells Shuda, and thus the Book of Grudges was born, and thus the suffering began. Oh my god. Troper, why'd you do this to us? No way to organically cast the commander? Wait, how? Alright, 38 lands. They're all colorless. Wait. Surely they have a way. Surely they have a way to filter. They have Cabal coffers and no lands. Oh wait, that's weird. Why don't I have tags? I had tags in the last one. Actually, it may help. Okay, we have some card draw. We have the only fair Karn. Liar's Pendulum. Name a card. Target opponent. You play Go Fish. We have Psychosis Crawler. Okay, so there's a way you might win. Psychosis Crawler and Shambling Suit. Bubble Mate. That's fucking funny. Naked Singularity. So plains make red, islands produce green, swamps produce white, mountains produce blue, and forests produce black. Colorless mana. Jesus. I love that we have payoffs on these colorless lands that need colors. Fully useless. What the fuck? Untap all creatures defending player controls. Leveler. Heads I win, tails I hurt. This is... Yeah, this is purgatory. Missing the combo. Oh my god. Tron lands, wait. We're missing, we don't have Urza's Mine. This is Magic the Edging. Too specific. Bury all Homelands cards. I presume, Shuda, that this would very effectively hate out another one of your decks that was a Homelands block constructed deck. Yep, fully. Okay, Jester Scepter fully does not work. Why? Search for basics that we don't have. And it still taps for fucking colorless. A 5/5. Oh, he has the cap. He has the full Jester. Technically playable. Okay, technically playable. No, this is just head games. This is... I love how under technically playable is Shuda's definition of I get to tutor you a new hand of potentially 7 basic lands. Or potentially all of the most expensive things in your deck and no lands. That's what Jester's Mask does, you guys. You take however many cards they have and you give them a new hand that just has that many cards. Jester's Cap, also playable. Glasses of Urza, also playable. Sharing is caring, knowledge is power. Rocket Launcher is a very funny mana dump. Useless ability, but it's a body. Pans that don't cook. Metallic Sliver simply is a sliver. So we can't even... What the fuck does this deck play like? I don't think this is the one. This has to be the one. Alright. Y'all ready for this shit? Cabal Coffers. Which we can't tap. Desolate Lighthouse. Into Obelisk of Undoing. Okay, we can spend mana of any color on mount spells. We can't cast this because we don't have creatures that make mana. We will begin jangling. We have a 3/2 on turn 3. We're gonna play Grid Monitor on turn 4. We will tap out to draw a card, or almost tap out, and then play Liar's Pendulum. We can't turn. What do we even do? We will once again tap 4. The deck can play Nekusar. We will draw a card. Alright, good. We can get rid of... If you get 3 treasures from opponents. So if somebody else gives you 3 treasures... Okay, Shuda. So I see... I mean, one... I see your game. You have to be forgiven to pop up. So what I think is playing against this deck, certainly a punishment. It is certainly suffering to have to look at this monstrosity that you have created. The only thing I will argue is that it seems very easy to simply walk past the deck and deal 40 damage to you and be removed from the suffering list. And so I think that what you would benefit from is a few more cards like Bubble Matrix that are really going to lock people into the rubber room with you, because that's what this deck is. This deck is a rubber room that you want to put people inside. No, oh, this deck is given to the cause of the trauma response. Oh, they have to play with this deck. Ah. Ah, okay. Oh, that's even worse. Alright, so in that case, what we need to do is we need to gaslight people. I think... Because I think what would be useful is this deck needs to evolve, and people need to think that it's changing. I think that you should have Homeward Path in here, if you don't already. Primarily to trick people into, if they draw it, into thinking that you might be able to give away these shitty little creatures, or at least like swap, to make them think maybe one day the deck will be able to do something. And so I would say Homeward Path to make them think that they may eventually be able to take game actions. And I think if you combine and I think you also play Bronze Bombshell to that end, and then you just don't give them a way to give away the Bronze Bombshell. It's the hope, yeah, Abatria. It's the hope that kills you. So we need to give people hope that they're going to be able to perform. Oh, Scion of Draco. I would agree with this. I would very much agree with Scion of Draco. Just again, like, you need people to think that, and you need to be telling people that you're slowly but surely adding ways for the deck to play, and that they're just really, really difficult. And so if you have Scion of Draco, people might think, because if they see all the colorless lands, my first thought when I saw the colorless lands was, oh, this maniac is doing a like really far out chromatic lantern bit, or something else that's going to give their lands multiple land types. Yeah, and you need normal Draco for sure. Troper, I'm gonna tell you this right now. A 16 mana 9/9 that costs 10 to keep in play is at least as playable as Jester's Mask. Like we have Psychosis. Oh yeah. I mean, before I knew what the gimmick of the deck was, I thought Chromatic Lantern was the bit. We're not giving them that. Oh, don't forget about the infinite combo. True, if we get 5 treasures, enter the infinite. Uh-huh. You're funny. You're a funny guy, Shuda. You're a funny guy. Funny guy. I bet you just laugh it up back there with your non-functional decks and your Tarkir block and your 31 lands. I swear to God. We can't put Owen Machine in because it might inadvertently allow this deck to cast something good, D2 Vincent. It is like, haha, group hug. But if you, because we're trying to put in things that we want them to like hope they will one day be able to cast. And we don't want to let them free cast anything that might be actually useful. You're so right, y'all. You did have 38 lands. That's my fault. It's a good deck. I can't hate on it. It's a good deck. It's a very good deck, Troper and Shuda. You two are geniuses, frankly. Clara Oswald. Boom, look at that. Look at that. We're taking game actions. We are playing Magic the Gathering. Pop, pop, I've looked at your hand. This deck should run Ruination. That is... Lockman, I'm a little bit up on that. I do like that. Weiss1, thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. I appreciate those Bezos bucks. Shuda, this is absolutely evil. This is like fantasy football punishment level deck. And it's beautiful. So we're gonna put you in classic art and the new category, Who Hurt You, Dog? And we're gonna... I'm we're going to move on to Pesky Pineapple's silly deck, which is not every deck rose needs to be a commander deck. This is Teemier Thunderstorm, a 2-player shared library and graveyard game that looks to manipulate the top of the shared library. The goal is to evoke the feeling of a wizard duel with complicated stack interactions and deadly tension. The primer and deck list has a small dive into deck philosophy, strategy, and card choice. Highly recommend printing a copy of the deck and playing with another Magic friend to play Magic like you've probably never played before. Alright, let's check this shit out. I guess it's today on the Maldhound format roast. Same spirit as Dan. 80 card deck. There are only instant sorceries and lands. The only damage source is Thunderous Wrath. So you try to Wrath your opponent 4 times. Every game action should cost mana, and there should be minimal way to reset the top of the library. Lands are complicated. No permanents, no free spells, no card tucking, minimal shuffling. Alright. Choose a card name. Oh god, this is frustrating. This is like Go Fish for people that hate themselves. Alright, so let's try to play against both. Is it still 7 card? Okay, so it is still draw 7. So playtest, here's my 7. So this person has a Wrath in hand. Temporal Mastery. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so probably Bivouac tapped. And then I pass to this person who will also Bivouac tapped. And then I'll play this island. And then I'll Portent. So I get to look at the top 3. So Wrath is next. And I get to draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Does this person... No, this person does not have any way to counter this. So I will keep... I will keep this order. I will go to their turn. They will untap. On upkeep, I will get Thunderous Wrath, and I will fucking dome them for 5. So this is how much damage they've taken. They do not have a response. They will draw this, play probably this for turn. And then I probably don't want to take a guess. I probably want Manamorphose. Oh, what the fuck would I do? I probably just hold this to remand, because most of my shit is counterspells. So on my next turn, this person gets to check the top 3 again. So I want to leave that on top. But I'm going to have them draw... No, I don't want to give them a cycler. Oh, this is diabolical. Okay. I'll be playing this with my girlfriend tomorrow night, and we're just going to scream at each other the whole time. Immediately... let's see. Yeah, Pesky Pineapple, you've sponsored my next YouTube video. Babe!
What?
Get over here.
What?
Okay. So, one of the decks that got sent in, it's similar to Dan Dan, but it is the only way to win is to hit each other with, where is it? Thunderous Wrath. So we each have 20 life. There are 8 copies of Thunderous Wrath in the deck, which is a miracle cost of 1 red. And then every other card in the deck manipulates the top of the library in some way, and so it's shared library.
Oh, shared library?
Yeah, and so like these would be, so we could say like this is your 7, this is my 7. And so it's like put permanent on top of the library, and then you can put something for free, but the only thing you could put out for free is a land. And so I just did a playtest against myself, and so you would like, we have Wrath in hand. Oh, the little miss is here.
Here?
Yeah, I just saw her. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, hello, little princess.
She's got a little something on her face. This is our cat, not cat. Okay.
So you could like brainstorm. You'd see these 3, and then you could put like a land back, or you could put Thunderous Wrath back, and then this back, so that I drew the land, and then you draw the Wrath on the next turn. Oh my god. So anyway, we're gonna play that for a YouTube video.
Yeah, I'm into it.
This is beautiful. I do think,
oh my goodness.
I feel like Metamorphose, specifically because of Metamorphose, it might be fun to include some type of enchantment, because enchantments can be useful. Or maybe like fucking Urza's Glasses. Right, you put like a 2 of Urza's Glasses, just so that Metamorphose has something they can hit with other than lands. Because right now Metamorphose doesn't really feel, everything else feels like counterplay, plans within plans, and Metamorphose feels like the one hard shutdown thing. But I don't know if Urza's Glasses is the right fix for that. But I love this. This is absolutely fantastic. All of the cards that are already in here, I think, are truly phenomenal. Oh, Gataxian Probe. Yeah, that's a better... Fallen Haven Gaming, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome to the stream, my friends. I hope you're having a good night. That's beautiful. I will be playing that for sure, and I will post both the link to this deck list in here, and then I'll post it in, I guess, general as well. Oh, peak instead so you can't pay life. Yeah, I think peak would be better. We're going to move on to Not Buddy's spooky deck. This deck is supposed to be an Eldrazi spawn Kindred deck, since Azlask works quite well as a commander for that. The point is to vomit Eldrazi spawn onto the table and use Azlask as a soft board wipe, or one of the other payoffs in the deck for having far too many spawn. I generally make silly kindred decks, but I acknowledge that anything headed by or comprised mostly of Eldrazi is nothing less than spooky. Well, good on you for owning that. Nah, buddy. Spawn point. 32 lands. A little bit low, but your commander's 3. And so that's not particularly concerning unless you... $33 lands. Brother Bear, what's happening with this mana curve? It looks a little bit to me like you don't start playing Magic the Gathering until you have 5 mana in play, my friend. Can you explain to me what's going on with that? Can you explain to me why we have 32 lands? And how many mana rocks? Not this. Okay. So right now, we have a deck that is held together entirely by the drawing of Forsaken Monument. And then we have Chromatic Lantern. But maybe they just make so many spawn that they're sacrificing everything sacrificing their army to fuel the rest of their army. Okay, so what do we have here? We do not really have... Well, we don't mulligan in playtests. Fuck it. We get It That Heralds the End. We get an Island. We get this guy. And now we fucking oh wait, hold on, this is an MDFC. Okay, so we have 4. Malevolent Rumble is our main option here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh god. I feel like we can't not take Vanquisher's Banner. Vanquisher's Banner is just way too strong. Then if we wait till our next turn, we can Ugin's Labyrinth. And then get Flare of Loyalties under it. And then get Vanquisher's Banner. Now we have a ton of mana. For each opponent, choose a creature that player controls. Make a token that's a copy of one of those creatures, except its power is equal to the total power of those creatures. Its toughness is equal to the total... What? Fucking, huh? So you're telling me if I had like these 3 that my opponents controlled, I could make a token copy of Azlask, but it would be an 11-11. The Eldrazi don't need that shit. They do not need that shit for a moment. What the fuck? Okay, here I guess we... So 1, 2, 3... Oh, so 4, 5, 6... No, 6. And then we'll sack this guy to get... account. So this will be experience. And then... So we play Skittering Invasion. Make 5 of these little assholes. I think we cast this, sacking all of these guys. make this, draw a card, and then it's kind of happening, but I would really like if we could do it faster. Draw for turn, play that, probably play that and that. The main thing I'm worried about here is it does feel like, this feels like one of those decks that is very imposing only because you give it 8 turns to do the imposing thing and you don't bother it in the meantime. Because like I could play Doubling Season by sacrificing this, and then we would have an experience counter. So then we have a 2/2 and a Doubling Season, and I feel like at this point the table could pull out a bunch of like 1950s Remington pistols and ensure that we never did anything threatening again by just popping Azlask. And so let's see if we would be able to recover from that. We would make double spawn, and we get any permanent to hand, right? I'll take these permanents. Now I have 2 spawns. I spent a green. I spent this. So I'll get it that heralds the end out. This is 6 mana. I'll sack 1. And then I'll play a fucking 10/8 that's going to eat everybody's board state. So maybe my fears... You know, maybe my fears were unfounded. Then we can replay Azlask, and so that would be 5. I think at this point we could, so maybe we'll say we tapped our mana correctly and we just we sack 5, go to 6 here, then we have no more tokens. We have no more tokens, it's turn 8, we really want to be doing something impactful now. Can we tap for Wooburg? I think we can, because red, blue, green, white, black, everything gets +6/+6. We do not have, so I guess it is a little bit light on scions and spawns, but it would be 9/9, 8/8, 16/14, 8/8, 11/13. I mean, this is like a video game bad guy type beat. This is the like hard difficulty Civ 5 NPC, because it does spend a lot of turns doing incredibly obviously threatening things. It doesn't look like it can interact terribly well. It has that one counter spell, but if it doesn't get, if it's not targeting fucking Breaker of Armies, you're boofed. I certainly agree with the spooky designation. Tags, yes, thank you. The auto tagging was working. Makes a little dude 28. Alright, these are basically lands, so I guess you have 61 lands. My fault, not buddy. I did not recognize your mana game. Now I do. 9 spawn payoffs. I mean, this is really incredibly responsible deck building. Oh, except card draw's a little light, but 5 to 10 is enough. 10 interactions certainly enough. Yeah, you know, I think this can... Me personally, I am not the biggest fan of Age of Empires. I don't play it that often. I played it a little bit as a kid. Age of Empires, not my personal favorite game ever. But this really is quintessential. I am the expert difficulty in Age of Empires. You are going to have to get past my army of little assholes. And if you wait 45 minutes, I will unstoppably have an army of little assholes. And I think that your various categories of things that you're including are relatively responsible. I thought 32 lands was light, but seeing how many ways you have to make spawns, you do seem to be pretty good there. I think your payoffs are probably the most responsible section. Having nine payoffs for this that aren't just your commander, super good. 15 big boys is pretty top heavy, but if you were an Eldrazi player and you weren't top heavy, I would think something was wrong with you. Oh boy. Yeah, your card draws your card draw basically doesn't exist. I think Deep Fathom is a lot. Deep Fathom is 6 mana to maybe start drawing cards, and it's 10 mana to guarantee that you draw any cards. This is also 10 mana to draw 3. Although I'm assuming your table probably doesn't bring enchantment removal. Voidcraw, incredible card draw and limited. Very mid card draw everywhere else. I think if there was anything I would suggest for improvements, I would say trying to cut big boys for more card draw. But if you want to keep it Eldrazi Kindred, I'm not 100% sure what the vehicles for your card draw would be. You could do something. I mean, we can certainly get you sponsored by EDH Rec real fast. Sure. I don't think it matters which commander we look at. We really just want to see what, like, enchantments. Do you have Kindred Discovery? So I think Kindred Discovery is better than Skulker to do for practically the same service. For all intents and purposes, this is a 4/4 Eldrazi that sometimes lets you draw cards, and it costs 6 mana. Kindred Discovery costs 5 mana, is made for Kindred decks, which is the gimmick that you are doing, and will trigger when they ETB or when they attack, even if they don't connect. So I think that would be worth it for you. I think Garruk's might be worth it for you. As I say that, though, I am immediately retracting that statement. I would say the only point against Kindred is that it's not a May ability if you were worried about decking. I would say that for this type of deck, that should be a, if you can't figure it out before you deck yourself, you should deck yourself and let the game end. I think Elven Chorus would also be really good for you, but the word Elven in there might be a little too racist in the wrong direction for your all Eldrazi deck. This guy's also not Eldrazi for sure. Skull Clamp would also be huge for you. So would Idol of Oblivion. I have doubted Idol of Oblivion in every deck list I have ever seen it in, and it has always drawn multiple cards a game. Just gonna put that out there for you. So I would certainly say, since 28 of your things make a token, Idol of Oblivion is going to be better than Snapping Voidcraw, probably. Like, you would much rather spend 4 mana to make a token and then draw a card for free than you would spend 4 mana to get the card. Honestly, this is really 6 mana draw a card, because you have to tap this without tapping it for mana. We've got someone else saying Distant Melody. I think Distant Melody would be really, really good for you. Even if you were worried about decking, if you had brainworms that made you not want to discard cards, you could always just sack a bunch of spawns before the spell resolved. So I would say pick your least favorite big boys and maybe your worst piece of interaction, and I would put in Distant Melody, I would put in Skull Clamp, I would put in Idol of Oblivion, and I would put in Kindred Discovery, and I would think about Elven Chorus. I will say this is the most responsible Eldrazi deck I've ever seen. Every other one I have played against is like, if you touch me in the first 5 turns of the game, I am going to scrape my knees, cry, and it's all going to be your fault, and I will never ever forgive you. And this is the first one I've seen where I assumed that your commander got shot off rip and it still worked. And here we're like almost, I'd say we're stuck, but we're making shitloads of spawn every turn, and so this kind of works out no matter what we do. Yeah, honestly, this is just Flare Drone, and then we wait. And then we make tokens, and they lose 2 life a token. Yeah, I like this. I'm going to say easy National Treasure. My personal favorite Eldrazi deck I've ever seen. But like every Eldrazi player, you well and truly believe that if you vomit that first hand out, shit is just going to work out. And I am here to tell you that it will not, because I am going to be there counterspelling your Vanquisher's Banner, counterspelling your Unfathomable Truths, and you will be there with 1 card in hand, no commander, and just 3 0/1s. And so please put in a little bit more card draw as a special favor to me, but otherwise, I recognize your game. Next up, we have Layman's deck, which is another one of Troper's teammates. It's a silly deck. It's a deck that would not give me any direction when I made it. I had to rebuild it like 4 times, but I fell in love with what it represents. The deck is a silly deck designed to make your opponents think it's spooky, because in no world is mono blue Morph CEDH worthy. You should rarely be casting from your hand and almost never cast anything face up. That is the whole goal. I would love to hear ideas for this thing before I buy some proxies and unleash it at the high table. Hope you're doing okay, and thanks for taking a look. The deck in one word is face down. My love, when you finish playing with the cat, could you give me some ice water, please? Thank you. Toppest deck. Ever seen a commander and thought, yep, it's perfect, I need to make a deck from this? The problem, The first idea wasn't possible, the second idea was boring, the third idea was cliche, and after 2 months of debating whether it was worth it, you get the toppest deck. $87, 38 lands. That's too many lands, man. You gotta be lower than that. 2-mana commander, 38 lands. What are we talking about? Yeah, with this curve, you face down, ass out. Put it away. Be responsible. It's not always. Listen, I hate on everyone else's land bases because everyone else's mana curve starts at 4 and then they have 33 lands. If you want to morph everything, if you want to cast everything face down, you know, you're good once you have 3. So we want to attach reality chip to something and then do morph things. Troper's Table continues to subsidize basically all of my content. We're just gonna, hey brother, I just want you to know this isn't a hard decision. I'm not promising that you're in here. You're just on the edge. You were just on the edge. It was supposed to be a discard deck. You know what mono blue can't do almost at all? Make opponents discard cards. Then it was supposed to be artifacts, but I just don't like it. I didn't feel like it utilized the commander in an interesting way. Mill is more interesting with any other commander, and when the game conditions once again turned back to artifacts, 3 weeks went by and I couldn't figure out what to do with this thing. Then I remembered Morph, and 2 hours later I realized what I had to do. I sent this to Troper when I was nearly finished. It's like a D6 of possibility. Side 1 is your hand and deck. Call at the top of the D6. Side 2 is Morph and Megamorph. Side 3 is Foretell. 4 is Manifest. 5 is Disguise. And side 6, that's on the bottom because you don't know what it is yet. Then you use Scry to stack your deck, and voila, a psychic damage machine. Despite all of that, the deck is incredibly mediocre, but it's okay because your opponents don't know that unless they're looking at this list, I suppose. This deck is not really designed to win at the table because you're really fighting a psychological battle. What do I have to play? Is it worth worrying about? In one of the most recent Shuffle Up and Play episodes, Ristic studies, Sam was able to do this to Spice 8 Rack with 2 Morph cards. Imagine a whole deck of this. So here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. Decks like this quickly become an art piece, and not necessarily a good one. And by not a good one, I don't mean in your construction of it, I mean a not as satisfying one, because after the first playthrough it begins to lose its luster, and it will lose its luster more and more quickly with every time you play it, and people begin to realize how terrible the deck actually is. I just want for a moment to compare it to the king of psychological warfare, Satoru Umezawa. This man gaslights like nobody else, because at all times people are assuming that what's coming next, thank you baby, is a Blightsteel Colossus. That what is coming next is an Eldrazi. Because although the effect can fall flat, it can also go way the fuck off. There is nothing in this deck you could turn over and be met with any response other than, oh. And that is the thing I think we should focus on fixing for you. Is I love I love psychological warfare. It's why I prefer Commander to 1v1. And I think here this is great psychological warfare for anybody that doesn't know what Morph is, and most importantly, doesn't know how bad every single Morph card is. But as it stands, after you've done this more than one time, everyone's gonna know that the thing you're doing is not very good. And then the psychological warfare, unless you're reducing morph costs, even if you're reducing morph costs, there's not a... What are we talking about, you guys? You could morph for 1. You could morph for 1 mana, and morph would not be good. Like, I'm not talking about in comparison to like decks that I've personally built or decks that I've seen played by really good deck builders. I'm talking about if you want to hang with precons, Morph is not it. I played with the recent Bloomborough precons, and they are much gentler than the LCI precons. The LCI precons, really strong. The Morph precons, way down low. How low can you go? Can you go down low? That's where the furries are with the Bloomborough precons. And every Bloomborough precon would fold the fuck out of a Morph deck that was allowed to morph for 1 mana or 0 mana. And so I love the energy. Yosu Cake, you bring up a good point. If there's a morph combo because of Missy, but morph was only good in this situation because it was a way to exploit recursion. Free recursion was the powerful piece of this combo. Morph was not the powerful piece of this combo. It was just that there was a vehicle with which you could have infinite enter the battlefield and infinite sacrifice, and Morph happened to be the linchpin that let this go through. But that doesn't make Morph good. Morph was just the firing pin for the railgun that is this Gilf. So anyway, let's keep going with the playtest. So we played this. We play this. We reconfigure. So now we can look at this all the time. So we're going to play an island. We will use this to reduce our morph costs. So now we have a 2/2. We have a 2/2 right now. On our next turn, we have a 2 mana 2/2, right? Like the main gimmick of this deck right now is we are playing bears. We are paying full price for bears is what we are doing right now. And so here we have the psychological warfare of, oh, I could turn this over and this shit could be anything. Except it's not anything. It's a 1/3. It's a 1/3 that lets us scry 2, you guys. I don't think we want that. And then I guess we play this. Watch out, you guys. It's a 2 mana 2/2. And this one is like almost okay because we can counter whatever our opponents are trying to do. But I think the heart of this is Morph ain't scary. And the question we need to ask is your obsession, how much of your obsession is with Morph and how much of your obsession is with the reality chip? Because what the reality chip lends itself best to is that really boring artifact Cheerios style of gameplay. If you want to make a reality chip deck that functions really well, you're gonna be on some Aether Flux. You're gonna be on some Aether Flux, and then what the hell? What is happening? And then you're gonna want every single artifact. Look at these 44 cards. You want all 44 of them. And you're just gonna equip Reality Chip to somebody and then storm off into Aether Flux. Like that is what Reality Chip functions well doing. And so it can bridge the gap to also playing with little shitters like what Morph does, but all it really does is increase our hand size to include the top of our library, which is not a very strong payoff or a very strong engine. And it sucks to have to combine a weak payoff and a weak engine with a weak mechanic that is Morph. If you wanted to do let's look at themes. Let's see if Morph is a theme. Morph is a theme. Let's look at mono blue Morph. So if you want to make Morph scary, this is the scariest thing you can do for Morph, is give them all +3/+2. And that's still 9 mana. You could lean more into Eldrazi to get this type of damage. But for the most part, I think you're coming up dry because the reality chip is a very narrow commander. Sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes commanders can only, like, not all legendaries can support a million different ideas. And I think the only idea that this commander supports particularly well is either Storm, or if you wanted to do mono blue but casting a spell from other than your hand. So could we do anything with that? There is Fortune Teller's Talent, which is 8 mana to do anything useful. You could do some Osgood shit. You could do Sage of the Beyond shit. You could do See the Truth, and then we're already out. And so I think this may just be a case of you've done as good as you can. But as good as you can do with this idea, Wizards of the Coast has not given you the tools to work with it. And I think that if you're proxying it, it's probably an okay investment because it is $20 to $25 to give everybody 1.5 tense games. But I think that you should understand mentally that's what you're paying for. This to me is not a deck that you can get mileage out of. It is the first time I play it against people that have never been exposed to Morph before. I'm going to get some good reactions. But you should also think about, if your goal is to scare people, you're scaring people who may have thermonuclear devices in their hand, right? If you want to play this deck to induce psychic damage, and you're inducing psychic damage against somebody that has brought interaction, what's going to happen is you're not going to goad them into having a really funny game of Commander. You're going to goad them into really bad target selection and them bullying you while somebody else takes over the game. And so I think you should think long and hard about the end states. I think that from what I know about your specific playgroup, it will work well there because everybody is a fucking maniac there. You guys are in the upside down, and so there are no rules there. But I think that after one or two games, people will start to catch on that, oh, pretty much all of these creatures are better as a 2/2. Fuck you just a little bit. It's a good play group. I would play with you guys whenever. I would much rather play at the upside down than play against the farewell zone. But I think, like, you guys have the rapport to have decks that are bits, right? And, like, that is good. That is a good... I think that is a good and enviable thing. What I'm getting at is it's a bunch of landmines, but there's only 2 that are actually armed. Hey, sometimes, my friend. You can't show me that punishment deck and be like, what the fuck? We're a bunch of gangsters. So I love the gimmick, but I do not think, like, even though you brought enough lands, you cannot cook because Wizards of the Coast has not made you the pans necessary to cook with this recipe. And I think that's a situation we've seen once or twice before. So we're going to need to expand. We're going to need to expand, I think, the matrix to include that. But this deck is absolutely cannot cook. Pans do not exist. But I think it's a good idea for the gimmick. And hidden information is also something I have personally really liked to play with, but it is hard to. We're going to move on to Alexander Scrooge's spooky deck. This is the black version of the 12th Doctor deck. The idea of the deck is, wouldn't it be funny if there were 3 Descent into Avernus cards on the field that's group hug in the sense that one of my opponents suffers less than the other 2. The deck in one word is haha. I mean, I think Troper, I think this was like a very good attempt at a viable, like, sometimes you fail the deck and sometimes the deck fails you. And I think in this case, Wizards of the Coast failed Layman. I don't think Layman failed at putting together a good Morph deck. I think mono blue Morph, it just can't. I think that was the best attempt. That was the good college try. And the cards don't exist for it to be anything than like, hey, I paid 2 mana for a 2/2. Please let me keep some of my teeth. Crazy Moves, thank you for the $5 super chat. Yeah, we need Ugin to get a masked wrestler card to make Morph work. True. God bless you, Streak. All right. Hating on people is free. Budget does not matter. I use my school's printer, so this deck will always cost like $3. This is my fucking hero. We have one extra card. I'll move that land base. Oh, that land base when your command zone is 4 and 5 monies. But based as hell. What is the rest of the curve? Honestly, I will go through the playtesting before I judge too hard. Since so much happens at 2 to 3 mana, you might get away with 32 here. Oh, and we have 13 pretty much only mana rocks. We have 12 mana rocks and 1 non-mana rock. You're probably fine. So we're casting out of our hand, and we're giving spells to opponents. So it's Group Slug. Oh, is the reality chip back? It is! Look at that. See? The reality chip is just... It's so much better in the 99 than it is as an actual card. Let's just get straight into the playtest. Oppression? 2 copies of this is fucking heinous. Okay. So we have 2 mana. Can we do anything with it? Everything is 3 mana right now. We don't have red, so we're going to discard the hand size. Turn 4. I'm going to Aruth, honestly. So we'll go to our next turn. Both of these will go to exile. I fucked up a little bit. I'll play Propaganda. We'll go to our next turn. We'll play this. I think we have to let the Mana Flare rip early just to be able to cast our commander. So we're going to play our commander, but get an extra 5 mana. Oh, Lockman, I very much doubt that this deck wants to copy the packs. I think that this deck wants to do dog shit. So we're gonna play a land. Yeah, fuck it. 2 people will have Hive Mind now. So 2 people have Hive Mind. We also play Rakdos Signet. Then Fiery Emancipation. We copy our other commander and pass this around. Oh, this is something. Okay, so we play this. Discard to hand size, discard to hand size, discard to hand size. Turn 5, we're heating up. Fuck Glorious End, draw 2, and we have treasures now. Next turn, Training Center, get our commander out. And now we need to get stuff out of our hand. I think we probably get mana and foretell. And then we're going to foretell Abyssal Persecutor. Play a land. Foretell. Let's make people vote a bunch. And we'll foretell this. So all these things are lined up. So red and a blue. Everybody votes for Truth or Consequences twice. And then we have to wait a turn. So let's say we draw 2. And then we fucking foretell Oppression. And then our next turn, double Oppression. So whenever anybody casts a spell, they discard 2. And then just in case, it's 3 times. Why is it 3? Oh, yep. We got there. So triple oppression. Like original Egyptian empire levels of oppression. So we have 2 of these, and an opponent has 1 of these. And so we will simply spend our turn foretelling the rest of our hand, because we are never casting a spell ever again. Okay, so this playtest actually highlights the only thing I would like to be different about the deck, which I would like more things that are repeatable damage sources. So let me go through, and maybe I just got unlucky, but that what I saw there was we bike locked the table, right? We got the magical triple oppression down. So everybody's hands are empty. Get them out of here. But we didn't have a way to actually end the game. And I think that these group slug decks are best when they have as many ways as possible to make sure that damage is coming through. Now I will say, what I'm going to give this deck points for is everything contributes. Fuck you. Everything contributes to the game plan, and the game plan is go fuck yourself. Like, I think everything either makes your commander work or is meant to go off with your commander. I think that the balance right now may be a little bit too much towards multipliers and not enough towards individual instances of causing damage. Like, I think we have, so right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think mana cache is even necessary. I don't think you need that much mana to do stuff. Five. Yeah, like I think the 5 doublers might be a little too much, and I think it might be more engaging if you just had more damage sources. Like, where's that? There's one Ob Nixilis that I'm thinking of. Like, I think this would be good. Just more instances of pinging, or even with all the instances of 1/1 pinging that you already have, doing Captive Kingpin, because this becomes a damage threat. It puts stuff into exile for you, although you are a little bit light on instants and sorceries. And so that may bite you in the ass, because I think a lot of the pings are happening on their turn and not yours. And you want the pings to be happening on your turn. Imagine planar chaos. Let me go ahead and imagine that. I would like to imagine you in prison, the glove. This is the type of card that we are hating on right now. This is what we need less of. We need more things. We need more things like Descent into Avernus that force things to happen. You have to respond to a descent into Avernus, because otherwise everybody dies. I think Dictate of the Twin Gods, Fiery Emancipation, Furnace of Wrath, I think these doublers, unless you have a really proactive strategy to do the damage, I think these doublers actually slow games down more often than they accelerate them, because they make people play really scared. They make people, everybody in Commander is already very Courage the Cowardly Dog when it comes to the possibility of somebody swinging back at them and hurting them. And when there's a Fiery Emancipation on the board, and you're only dealing, like if you're only dealing, you know, you have one instance of pinging for one because you have Fate Unraveler out, your Fiery Emancipation isn't accelerating the game so much as it's making everybody not want to swing out against anybody but you, because if they do, the crackbacks will just kill the table instantly. So I think Fevered Visions would be a really good ad for you. Now, Triple Descent into Avernus. Yeah, Triple Descent into Avernus is obviously the dream that this deck was built around, and it's a very good and noble dream to have. I am not hating on that dream for a second. Can we get to this fucker yet? We cannot. So I guess we'll play Prismari Campus instead and get that out, and we'll scry one. I guess we'll keep Fibblethip. Get this guy out. Get this out. Then we kind of have to get Fibblethip up so that we can plot things. So we'll say that's Fibblethip mana and plot mana. So this is free now. And we'll plot this too. And then we free cast this, copy it twice, so scry 2, draw 2. I do question the lose the game cards. I think I like the intent of making sure that you have a truly I think I like the intent of making sure that you have a hard way to make sure that people lose the game so it can't slog on forever. But I think that these are pretty like deflating whoopee cushion ways of winning the game. Let me tell you who I think you might like a little bit more. Oh, you have to cast it from your hand. Is there a way to make this work? Oh, the opponent casts their shit first. Oh, okay. So you would this just kills one other person and it doesn't matter. Or I guess, so Glorious End works. I question Final Fortune because that is like death to the both of you. But I do like Glorious End. I do not think Phage works. because we make somebody else lose, but then we kill ourselves immediately, which is the same problem I have with Final Fortune. Overall, this is tasty. Hating is free, and we should all strive to hate this aggressively. Yeah, so Fevered Vision should come in from the sideboard. I don't think we need these discard payoffs. I think Prisoner's Dilemma would be pretty funny. Like triple Prisoner's Dilemma could just like win the game for you unless people vote right. I think this is good. I think this is the type of thing of like, it's in Gimmick and is a very aggressive way to try to actually play Magic the Gathering. And I think the worst thing that gimmicky decks do is they forget about trying to actually play a Magic the Gathering in service of their gimmick. And for the most part, you're good on that front. I think Prisoner's Dilemma would be better than Final Fortune specifically in terms of I'm going to try to get some shit done. Prisoner's Dilemma does have the additional cost of having to explain Prisoner's Dilemma. That's true. You will need a, you know what? I'll make a video on it that you can pull up on YouTube. It'll be 90 seconds and I'll tell them exactly what to do. Turf War seems like a nightmare, Scrooge. It's already in the sideboard, and I think this is the example of like particularly... I actually don't think copying this even matters because this is already a symmetric effect, and so you just end up with 3 contested counters on every land, but you're never taking those contested counters off in the first place. So I don't think Turf War contributes to the gimmick of the deck. It's just a generic chaos card. So 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Also, Kupaka, hit me with those personal questions, my friend. Oh wait, I think I see it. Hey Mald, I want to build a 98 land commander deck with the infamous Cruel Claw from the new Blurmborough set. I'm torn between Blightsteel, Colossus, or Worldfire as the one non-land card to cast off the attack trigger. Going for maximum lulls and wanted to see which you would pick. Well, I think Worldfire decks are typically like modern art in my mind. They are one-off. Oh, it's target land, not all. Okay. I think that is even less interesting. But for the Cruel Claw deck, for those of you that don't know yet, it is Voxy, but she's mad, and whenever she hits you, she gets to free cast a non-land from their library by just discarding a card instead of paying. I think both of those decks that you are offering to me are jump scare decks. They're decks that are scary the first time you play them, and then they don't, you know, the next time everyone's just like, oh, all right, everybody shoot the weasel every time you see it. And so I think if you were going to build a funny infamous Cruel Claw deck, I wouldn't go for one non-land card. I would go for a deck very similar to this, where it was all just like doublers or really expensive damage sources, and I would just aim to group slug everybody. And I think having more than just one card is very important for the deck to have any sort of replayability, because, like, walk with me through this example of your Blightsteel Infamous Cruel Claw deck. You play Cruel Claw. You have to politic to make him not get killed. Let's say somebody lets you hit. And you say, "Thank you, bestie. I am going to cast Blightsteel Colossus." And then you play the Law & Order SVU sound effect. Either somebody has a counter spell, at which point you scoop, because the game is completely unplayable for you now that you have been counterspelled. Or it resolves and somebody bounces it. Or somebody casts Sword to Plowshares, at which point you also scoop, because the game is now completely unplayable for you. Blightsteel would not... Oh, Counterspell would shuffle up, go again. Path to Exile, bounce to your hand. Then you are hanging out for the foreseeable future. And even if it's shuffled up, at this point, nobody's letting you hit with Cruel Claw. And if you do a Worldfire Cruel Claw deck, I'm sure that Veggie had a very compelling video on why this is cool and good. But when you play Worldfire as a meme deck, what you are playing is Rakdos Control. Because, and people misunderstand this very, very often, but control decks are not decks that counterspell or decks that prevent you, or like that stop one specific game action. Control decks are decks that cut off archetypes of gameplay, that cut off entire swaths of gameplay. And so many group hug decks and many chaos decks are control decks because of the degree to which they remove agency from all of the other decks. And if your deck says, on turn 4, I am going to exile all permanents, all cards, and everybody's at 1 life, you are fundamentally changing that from a commander game to some type of sudden death Smash Bros game. And that is a control strategy. Just because you're not going to win with it, just because you're not going to like approach to the second sun, doesn't make it not control and doesn't make it interesting after the first time you do it. So my professional opinion is that neither Blightsteel nor Worldfire are particularly funny. And the funniest thing you could do with Cruel Claw is stuff like War's Toll and stuff like Rakdos Group Hug, where you just force the game to go quicker, and then it's still control, but you are not warping the game to the extent of, well, we're not really playing Commander anymore. And if you want to have a Worldfire version, you can do it. You can realistically play that deck 1 out of every 10 games. As soon as you play it, because of how human psychology works, as soon as you play a Worldfire meme deck more often than 10% of the time, people will accuse you of playing it every single time. Because it will be such a wild experience for them that it is going to be overemphasized in their memory. And if you play it with any degree of reliability, it's going to be all you're known for, and people are never going to let you do the funny thing ever again, because it's like, oh, we invited you to the party and you said you had a funny party trick and you shat in the stereo speaker and made us get our faces up in there to listen to the squelching noise. Because, funny story, when people sit down to play Commander, they often want to play the game of Commander rather than everybody's life total becomes 1, turn 4, go. This is a very fun type of gameplay pattern to people that play a lot of Commander, to anybody that gets to play so much Commander that they are desensitized to the normal gameplay patterns and they really want something fresh and new. Then memes like this are like, oh my god, we get to do this silly funny crazy sudden death thing instead of normal Commander. But most of the people I've played with, and like me, I get to play Commander single digit times a month, probably less than 5 times a month right now. Previously, I used to be able to play more, and I play as much as I can when I go to conventions. But if I get like to play Commander once a week, and I don't have time for multiple games, and it is turn 4 World Fire, then the game ends like turn 6, I'm probably cool with that once every 3 months. And if you do it more often, then I'm like, hey man, can we play the card game, please? It's very like, it's like this shit is what it can feel like if you play decks like that too often. You have to be very, very careful with how you use it. Hello, little princess. Come here. You are like 5 whole pounds, aren't you? Say hello. Hello, little princess. Yeah, where you want to be? Holy shit, I love Smash Bros. World Fire. It is. And the thing is, like, the tolerance for this is absolutely non-zero. I am not saying never do it. I am just saying use it with extreme caution. And I think you can build a more, like, permanent version of the deck that is doing, like, Rakdos Group Hug. And then every once in a while, you hit him with the like hot swap World Fire, and you keep it at that like 10% line. All right, so after having spent way too much time on that, we're gonna move to Jarthur's silly and spooky deck. Hello everyone, the deck's primary goal is to kill you using a Bobblehead, and then it's going to be a spiteful prick and slow the game down for everyone else. While it is dual Commander legal, it plays a little too slow to be good in that format, but just fast enough for standard Commander. Spite and hate. Alright, so cope and seethe the deck. Let's also place Alexander Scrooge. I love this thing. Hating is free, hating is good, hating is life. Bobblehead stacks, a different flavor of hating. 35 lands, Training Grounds, Thopter Spy Network, Smothering Tithe, Ristic Study, Reconnaissance is a little hot, Propaganda, Mechanized Production, Intruder Alarm, Ghostly Prison, and Anointed Procession. I think I know where we're going. This is just off the enchantments. That is an Azorius deck straight out of the CIA handbook. That is right out of a CIA black site. So we're making our artifact creatures really big. We only have a couple interaction spells. I don't know if I can call Rhystic Study Smothering Tithe silly. Certainly spooky. Certainly we're inside spooky. Mycosynth. Oh, Jesus. Okay, it's not the Karnlock Mycosynth Lattice. So we're killing people with bobbleheads. We're killing people with the Luck Bobblehead. We want to roll 6, 7 times? Or are we turning the bobbleheads into artifact creatures and beating them to death? No primer because it's just bobblehead stacks. Let's see how the fuck it works. Alright, we're gonna Esper Sentinel. Nothing to do on turn 2, but that's fine because every turn after this is going to be unstoppable dog shit. We will get a bobblehead out. I don't think we have cause to copy yet. We will Smothering Tithe. We will get 3 treasures because that is how commander players do. We will get a bobblehead out. We will get this guy out. We will get 3 more treasures because that is how the commander players do. We will play this guy. We will dump our treasures to copy the intelligence bobblehead. We will draw a card for this little guy. We will tap these to play a goddamn stacks piece. So on upkeep, everybody else has to tap 4. We will make 3 more treasures because of how commander players do. We can trophy mage, presumably for the luck bobblehead. And then we just have a bunch of... Okay. So here's the thing to understand about stacks. Stacks still needs to want to win. And here we are on turn 7. And we do not have a fucking prayer in sight of how we aim to win this game. 6 lander, we keep it. We fucking keep it, you guys. Here's a stacks piece. We will Emery, sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next turn we do this. We will Thousand Moons Smithy. What are we making? We're making the XX gnome. Then we pass, and then we can do this for 3, and a bobblehead for 3. And like these propaganda and ghostly prison effects, we're trying to slow down. We're trying to slow down the people hitting us, but we need 6 mana to start making these copies. And so like, here we go. Tap everything but 1. Turn 8. We have a second bobblehead, and it's a 3/3 bobblehead. another 3/3 Bobblehead. So I think here's the gut reaction Azorius player thing to do is when you have a strategy that is a little bit slower, is to lean into hard control, or what you think of as like hard stacks until you can execute your plan. And I love the Bobbleheads in general. And as far as Urza decks go, saying I'm gonna use my Urza deck to beat you to death with Bobbleheads, beautiful. No notes on the gimmick. Notes on the execution is, I think, rather than trying to slow the game down as much, you should just be accelerating your bullshit more. That is true. I didn't get any mana combos. And so to that end, I would say like I doubt you need like the big hiccup that we were running into in those two playtests is the fact that it's a goddamn 6 cost activated ability. And so you have training grounds to bring that down. I didn't see Illusionist Bracers. Like to make the deck run smoother, we don't need to lock everybody into a rubber room. We need to make it more consistent that the Bobblehead army is going to mean something. And so to do that, we have to increase the efficiency of our Bobblehead creation system. And so there may be mana combos in here. We already have Anointed Procession. I think that Drowner of Hope is patently ridiculous. I think that Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, is a little outside the plot. I think Emery can work. I think Cloudsteel Kieran is probably your best instance of slowing the game down because it doesn't stop people from taking their own game actions. It just stops you from dying. Where is... You want this guy 8 weeks ago. As you want this guy every single game you play with this deck, because you're going to add colorless for each artifact you control. You can spend it on Urza's ability, and this is what unlocks Endless Bobblehead Army. And if the end point of the deck, if the goal of the deck is hateful Bobblehead Army, then we got to do stuff that is going to get us there. Like even Urza Lord High Artificer, I will accept specifically because it lets you do a very similar thing to Karn, where your artifacts will, all of your artifacts will help you get this Bobblehead army going. Like I think Socrates isn't serving a great purpose for you. Witch Enchanter is just a good MDFC, so it's fine. I think Vault Boy Cap Collector is the most like generic Azorius good stuff piece that doesn't actually accelerate what this deck wants to do. Mirror Works. Mirror Works is non-token only, and I think our ultimate goal is to make token copies, and so I'm not 100% sold on Mirror Works. We might have, if the author of this deck feels that there's enough other artifacts we want to lay down that you really want copies of, you know, I can see it. But for the most part, Like, so the cards that I think are wasted in the context of what this deck truly wants to do: Propaganda, Ghostly Prison, Disruptor Flute. Encroaching Mycosynth. That one's kind of bubble though. Power Stone Shard. I think this is too slow. Like, you'd rather just copy a Bobblehead. Or actually, maybe it's not too slow. No, because at 3 you copy it once, and then you make 4 mana. You copy it another time, you make 9. No, you can keep this. What about Leonardo da Vinci? It is possible, but risky. I think if you're balling out, you can do this. Encroaching Mycosynth plus Padim equals win. I mean, that's surely a falsehood. My permanents are all hexproof. Me when anybody casts a non-targeted removal spell. It's certainly a good 2-card combo. But yeah, like, I think a lot of the stacks here doesn't serve a phenomenal point. I think Excalibur Sword of Eden is here as a get out of jail card for when the Bobblehead strategy fails, because all of the things you would need to make the Bobblehead strategy work have been butchered from the deck in favor of please let me keep my teeth. And I think you can make this deck play quickly enough that you don't need them. So for right now, I'm going to say you're in between sponsored by EDHREC and registered stacks offender. Because the bones of a Bobblehead gimmick are there, and I like it. It has a lot of, okay, this goes in every token deck, but it does make sense because it's an artifact token payoff. And I think you've muddied the water too much, because you realized, it seems like you realized how slow this was, and you broke glass in case of emergency on the stacks box, and I don't think you needed to. We're gonna move on to Speak of the Devil. I'm Weak UC's spooky deck. I'm Weak UC. Thank you very much for the tier 1 Twitch sub. Welcome back to the dog home for the second month in a row. Why run reconnaissance? Fear. It lives in the hearts of men. You must defeat it. So I'm Weak UC's deck is spooky. So far I've shown you my casual deck, but I thought I'd give you a glimpse at one of the decks I run at higher power. The entire goal is to control my opponents and draw/tutor into an infinite combo and close out the game. Tags are on and includes possible cuts and cards I'm testing. I know I could run free spells, but I personally don't like them, so I avoid playing them. Arbitrary limits are the best limits. Do what pleases you. Riel's Draw Factory. Dig through the deck to hit or tutor a combo using control pieces to remove problematic pieces on the board or the stack. My playgroup has decided that my catchphrase is, in response I draw some cards. My gremlin hands can't help but to touch all that cardboard. Real and based of you. Info in the primer. Alright, so we have 4 combos that we're looking for. 31 instants. I think your out should just be fucking commander damage, my friend. And I am only half joking. I think with... if 45 of your 99 cards are instants and sorceries on a commander that gets bigger for instants and sorceries, I would chuck out like one thing that gives my commander flying or unblockable and just get a little cheeky stab you for 30. Plus one card. Yeah, the discard stuff in here is absolutely crazy. There's a card in there for that. Perfect. Plus 2 cards, plus 3 cards. Oh, wow, that plus 3 is... that's fucking horrible. I would... draw 3, discard 3, but actually draw 3 again. I think 34 lands is fine for this. This is horrible, but this is also... Censor in Riel the Everwise, to me, highlights the indomitable spirit of Commander, because the spell is dog shit, but it becomes playable because it has a cycling cost, and so it is also 1 mana draw a card, and that is exactly what you should be doing with your Commander decks, is you should be looking for the trash. You should be going behind the Wendy's dumpster and in between the frying station and the wall and looking for little bits of gristle that would be horrifically unplayable in any other strategy. Alright, so we have a lot of bounce. Immolating Gyre seems good. So we have mostly board wipes and counter spells. What's up, Joe Salsa? And what's up, Chris Gia? Oh, Rights of Refusal must go fucking crazy in this deck. Yeah, we have Breach. I would question... Ideas Unbound, I would believe, because it's a sorcery and it's 2 mana. I would question cutting Brain Freeze if it's one of your 3 win cons. But let's playtest. I probably won't go too deep because I typically don't playtest too hard on decks where the win con requires a lot of tutoring. I think we probably just skip our turn 1. Like, we skip turn 1, we do this. And then we pass. So I think we play this floating 1, we basic land cycle, we get to draw a card, and we're gonna look for a mountain. So turn 4, we play this. So we have Glinthorn Buccaneer. But we needed to spend all of our red to do it. Yeah, Sheepdeg, I drew and searched on purpose because Riel says the first time you discard one or more cards each turn, draw that many. So because you discard to cycle, I get to draw one off of Riel. Yeah, that is why Ash Barrens is in the deck, is to monopolize or capitalize on that. Alright, so I'm going to Rights of Refusal the next thing anybody tries to do, and I'm just going to discard all 5 of these. And so we will deal 5 damage and draw 5. Training Center. Okay, and now we have... So now we Malcolm. And then we Thrill? Fuck Halmar Depths. So deal 1 damage, make a treasure. Does this just win? Because I see the path for... Oh, right, it's to each person. Yep, okay. Yeah, so then we just loop this because we make 3 treasures, not 1. Alright, take it easy. That's how it goes. So we'll get to fish. We'll say we draw 2. We'll say 1 person is responsible. We will, however, miss a single land, and I will discard Liquid Metal Torque, and I will pay for the upkeep of this. We'll say we draw 2 again. Now we will get a land. Yeah, that's what I don't know about it. I play good cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Can we... We can't even get to High Tide right now. I guess we fucking... Opulence a motherfucker. And we have to let this die, and we'll dump 3 steps ahead. So now we can do this. I'm gonna do this. 1, 2, 3. Holy fuck. We are just not hitting any lands. We get to draw 2 more for Riel. Alright, so there we get to play a land. Forbid is gonna be huge for us. At this point, fuck Unsubstantiate. Oh, we would have had to discard even more. I guess. I mean, the turn 5 win, obviously it works. My biggest question is, why no wheels? Right, we're at $300. We're already paying for Underworld Breach. And so we're obviously not like opposed to the idea of money, and we're trying to exploit discarding cards. It seems to me in red blue the easiest way to exploit discarding cards is to cast Wheel of Fortune to draw 14. Because our only out is to draw into these combos. There is no grindy game plan in this deck. This deck is like, I usually have at least 1 or 2 pieces in the hand that I don't want to be discarding. Why would you not simply play the piece and then play the wheel? Like, I feel like that is a trauma response, and that the likelihood of losing a combo piece to a wheel is much lower than the likelihood of not drawing the combo piece in time. But I think that's a yes and also at high power you gotta play stuff. Like, if these people are matching your freak, waiting until you can both draw the combo and then have the mana to assemble the entire combo on the spot feels very like feels very Christmas Land to me, especially when your deck also seems full of counter spells. It feels like you're playing too conservative a game with these people when you need to be playing much more hatefully. But I do think that the deck as made certainly works. I think Mazatlanti is probably too slow. Well, hold on. It's 3 mana, draw 2. So this is 2 mana, draw 4. This is 1 mana, draw 4. Well, draw 4, discard 2. I do think Ideas Unbound could get cut. I think if you are holding everything in your hand until you can play it out all at the same time, my feeling is if you get open to interaction, just go get Breach, big homie. I obviously don't play a lot of CEDH. I don't even play a lot of particularly high power, but all of the knowing when to go for it is certainly a thing. But if you're the control player, refusing to develop your board is probably the most damaging thing you can do in terms of stopping you from actually getting a win. So then we transmute this, draw, get Glinthorn. So at the point, right, at the point we've transmuted Drift of Phantasms, the jig is up. Most of our stuff is telegraphed enough that I don't think holding it back is the own that it feels like it's going to be, and I think you're just giving people more turns to play with. Oh, sure. If there's win in hand, then yeah, go get Dualcaster. Three steps ahead combos with dual. Oh, do you just make infinite tokens of Dualcaster Mage and then kill people with infinite Dualcaster Mages? Yeah, you just infinitely copy Dualcaster. Personally, I think this is too much control, not enough crackhead. Now, it is fair to say, your pod could be playing this quickly. I think you have a lot of... Actually, I don't know. I mean, it may all be necessary. I think without being at your table, the general vibe I get from this deck is you're trying too hard to stop other people from winning and not hard enough to get your own wins. But I don't think it's incredibly deleterious because you're still winning turn 5 or turn 6, and if that's not high power, I don't know what the fuck is. Tanny, you're not the only one. I am bored to tears by infinite combos, but I am judging these decks based off of the primers that are given to me. And the point of this deck is to hit these goddamn combo gritties. And so that's what we are doing. And these are well executed combo gritties. I would just not play them myself, but that is neither here nor there, because there is no accounting for taste. Having done a few more playtests, I would cut Brain Freeze. It doesn't seem like you're ever really storming off. It just seems like you are assembling one of these 3 combos. I think Gaia Reach Sanitarium I would also discard. This is one of the main reasons I've argued against bounce lands and Izzet decks forever, is I think that Izzet decks, more than any other color combo, get screwed by having their pips not work out more than they get screwed by anything else. And having this be a colorless land, I think is too much of a drawback, even though it lets you go plus 1 card on the effect. So I would cut these 2, or cut the top 3, probably keep Mas Atlanti, and probably keep Stormkiln. But every playtest I did there, we got to a win in hand, but none of those wins in hand were based off of storming off. You like never had the mana to storm off. It was always just 2 cards assembled. Eat my ass. And so congratulations, I'm weak, you see. This is just straight up functional. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's not hateful. It's effective. It gets the goddamn job done. And the job is to draw a bunch of goddamn cards, win on other people's turns, and make them relatively sad. And I think you have achieved that. So we're going to move on, but we will first answer deceased Skyrat's personal question. I do not have a cat. That is the neighbor's cat that comes into our house sometimes. Move on to Cyborg's silly and spooky deck. Black is easily my favorite color in MTG. The Cauldron pieces are the coolest group of cards in MTG. Is it possible to make them work together? The last time I submitted a Voltron list, I was inspired by the protagonists. The deck needed all of the small components to work together and become something greater than the sum of their parts. For this list, I abandon that idea, and we embrace villainy. We shall overwhelm our opposition in an unending tide of big mana and giant row beasts, sacrificing even our own subjects to fuel our war machine. And maybe if we do well enough, even the universe's defender can be corrupted to our cause. Ashnod is a stand-in for Hagar for those of us keeping track of the lore at home. Alright, we're on some big high fantasy Defenders of the Universe type shit. 38 lands for a 1-mana commander is Xanax behavior. Too many. Too many, bro. I don't know who's subsidizing you, but it's too many, and also it's too many basics. Black is probably the best color in this game at abusing non-basic lands. Okay, we have shitty Karn. So we have a lot of tutors. I would say multiple tutors probably moves us out of silly pretty quickly, but spooky is fine. Forced sacrifice. So we have a lot of, we want to fill our graveyard. We're going to sack our stuff, fill our graveyard to make 3/3 zombies. I have immediate doubts about the functionality of this deck, but let's see. Turn 1, big Ashnod. Ashnod doesn't have a second ability, it's just for the Power Stones. In that case, I have even bigger doubts. So turn 2. We will get Persistent Specimen down. We will swing. We will sack this dumbass. We will make our first Power Stone. Turn 3. I guess we play Jadar. And Transmogran's Crown. We'd probably take a turn off from swinging. I know this is the wrong token, but I do not care. So now we swing, we sack this. Here's my Power Stone token. Turn 5. We would swing. There's another zombie here we can sack. So we make another Power Stone token. Then at this point, I think we like have to tap out for this because we don't have cards to do stuff with. All right, here it is. First piece of the puzzle. Oh, equip the stone. Yeah, but if I did that, I couldn't play the Helm of Kaldra. So now on turn 6, we have solved the first problem I had with this deck, which is the lack of protection from Ashnod. And then we will equip this to the token zombie that we have. We will swing, sack, draw, Power Stone. Boom. We can't play this because we used too much of our mana. We are just absolutely bricked up with mana, and we have not a single goddamn thing to do with it. We're going to leave this open if we can. Swing, sack, token, draw. Now we're going to be off to the races. Except we can't pay for it because we used our black to get Transmogran's Crown. Alright, let's restart. Turn 1, boom. Get Ashnotted on. Turn 2, boom. Get Sired on. Get sacked. Make a fucking thing. Turn 3, we have a 1/1 here. So we can Solemn, sack Solemn, get a swamp. And get a Power Stone. Fucking, I mean, I guess Meteor Golem? Swing, sack the 1/1 we never got rid of. So now we have this and this. Fuck that guy, we sacrifice him. I mean, could it... Cyborg, I feel like you needed to... This needs to be a comic book, my goat. I like the bit, but... I am gonna say, yeah, Ashes and Leaves, we sacked that on a different previous turn. The two playtests we've done this time, I am so sorry that I did not respect your game and called it spooky. This is straight silly. This is unrepentant silliness. You deserve every tutor you want in the world. The primer, okay, yeah. Let's see what the primer's got. Okay. So there's... So one of the things I value very highly in my decks is not having to mulligan so aggressively. So I will replay test with that in mind. This hand should work. Riftstrider, it's not necessarily Magical Christmas Land, but it is definitely, I think, overly hopeful. Like, if the bit only works, because this deck now, Grim Haruspex dies, and we're basically fucked. We then have to tutor for another one of our card draw engines. And I'm not sure what we tutor for here. Maybe it's like the Cauldra Helm or something. But we probably throw down this because the other thing that I really question is how precious are the people you're playing against that they are allowing you to swing freely and nobody has anything with 1 power that they're willing to put in front of this thing. It has a 50% win rate in your server. That is not a claim to fame. The fact that you can beat the goofballs as one of the people who allows it, it's funny. Right, that's the thing, is if the deck's consistent success rate is off the back of I let them win because I thought it was funny, that is a better premise for a graphic novel than it is for a commander deck. It is a huge compliment that people are willing to say, I let this deck stab me because it was heartwarming while it did it. But that is a better constructed book than it is a well-constructed commander deck. And I think from the perspective of, I'm hateful. If I had my commander, if I had Niv Mizzet on the field and you swung at me with this miserable little fuck, I would give up Niv Mizzet sooner than I would let you get this trigger without consequence. Like, I am such a little bastard, and I know how terrible it is when people let me do anything. I never let people cook. And so when I look at this deck, I do not see the heartwarming, like, oh yeah, just let them get away with it. Yeah, Goblin, it's not about the trigger happening in the first place. It's about them letting you keep Ashnod to do it every single turn. And so the degree to which I would never ever let this deck cook is immense. And one of the... So I'm going to... Where's the... Have we made your... So I'm going to put this in whoops, wrong one. I'm going to put this in Minecraft creative mode because it does look like its success is entirely built upon other people letting you do it And I will make a note. We will add you to the rules. This is the honor I will give you, because this deck functions exclusively off of mind control. And fucking high five that you have those mind control powers. But I do think it functions exclusively off of mind control, and I think that a little bit of scam and first strike would go an incredibly long way towards making the deck feel more resilient. Because the fact that it has very few sources of first strike, needs to hit a card draw engine in its opening hand, or it just doesn't work. Like, so let's see. So this is our free one. So we got to a card draw engine, but we did not get to anything that we can sacrifice. So we'll go down to 6. We got something we can sacrifice, but not a card draw engine. We'll go down to 5. Okay, we got something. We got both going down to 5. I'm just going to put these in the graveyard because fuck it. I think straight up it's more efficacious to do it this way. So turn 4, boom, 1, 2, 3, and then bring him back with his effect. One mana, draw 3. And so at this point, this is where I would, or honestly after the first draw was the point at which everybody else would shoot you straight in the dick. Every pot I've been in also allows friendly mulligans until a usable hand. Yeah, if you get, so in a world where you get friendly mulligans until you have this specific scenario, I can see why the deck seems very, very good. Oh, we allow it. I don't take it. God bless you. I can't decide between these two. I do like the deck. I think that it is a testament to the insanity of my Discord that they are not killing the hot woman as soon as she enters the battlefield. So Cyborg, thank you for sharing that with me. I think you are currently... We will give you a role if you want it in the Discord for Gaslighter Supreme. unless you don't want me to dox your game like that. But this is impressive to me because of the mind control that you must be inflicting on your pod. We're going to move on to Lockman 98's deck, which is spooky. The deck wants to mill the table to add to its robot army. So this has got to be a grandma I'd like to fuck deck, right? Oh, nope. Thought it was Missy. It's the other thing from the Missy precon. My bad. Okay, so on ETB mill, put all creature cards milled this way onto the battlefield. They're 2/2s. Out of the gate, I want to say, this is a dog shit commander. So I salute you for trying to make this work, no matter the degree to which you are able to make it work. Respect for trying to make this shit, for trying to get this guy out of the mud. Okay, so we have mana copiers. Nothing like spend 8 mana to copy my 8 mana commander. 35 lands, sure. Curve is mostly alright. There's a little bit of living in La La Land. That commander is too face up for me. I love this just for the tag. Stealing your spells. I like this section just for spite. I like this just for spite. Yeah, manifesting the top card. Theft, theft, theft. Yeah, more graveyard stuff. So this generally looks like taking shit. I do question, I would like to call the rules while you're in. I don't think artifact is a creature type, but I guess it must have to be, right? Because you can't have a typeless creature, can you? Oh, Cybermen. There we go. We're good. Heuristic Study, you disappoint me. Satoru's beautiful. Like Bident of Thassa. I like Thoughtcast. If I get too much mana, my trap card, I play this as well in all my black decks, and I love it. Ashnod's Altar, Chromatic Orrery, Dark Ritual, Decanter, Foundry. Karn here makes sense. Mightstone, Weakstone for sure. For When My Soldiers Die. Face Down Bots, Synergy / Flippers. That is pretty good. Problem solving. I think the one thing you're missing from problem solving is you have All Is Dust. There is I think there's like functionally All Is Dust, but for I swear to God, I've had this card played against me. It's like inverse Bane of Progress. If I can't find it, All Is Dust, it just serves the same purpose as All Is Dust, which is to do a one-sided board wipe. It's in the Necron. I don't think it's Scriptures, no. It might be Delete. No, this is not the one I'm thinking of. Their name is Death. Yeah. I think that would probably be useful for you, but let's see how this actually plays. So we get a command tower. None of these are castable yet. None of these are castable yet. We probably marionette and put a counter on them. Turn 5, we can start stealing stuff. I guess we probably choose Cybermen. We get to cast a free spell. So we do X equals 3. Yeah, X equals 3. Now, depending on how many we get, we're about to draw like 8 cards. And so Kindred Discovery kind of holds this together. And now we have a bunch of 2/2s. So probably discard that. Discard that. Next turn. Let's make everybody hexproof. Yeah, I think this is... That first playtest stood out to me as this is a deck that you can draw in the wrong order quite easily. Because there's a couple setup pieces you want, and there's a couple synergy pieces you want after you've dropped a artifact creature bomb. But right now we're going on we're going on 5 turns of hang the fuck out. We've had one piece of interaction. We can now play Jin-Gitaxias, which the rest of the table is probably going to shoot in the chest. But if we get to keep it, then we get a big payoff for Cyber Controller. But this feels like a deck that really early on, if you don't get your mana rocks and a card draw engine, you just kind of cope and seethe. And so here we probably Vampiric Tutor, but what the fuck do we Vampiric Tutor for? We're gonna draw a bunch of cards for Satoru. So I'm probably tutoring for Chromatic Lantern. This is what we would draw the next turn. Chromatic Lantern, and then get Satoru out. Field of Ruin. We can cast for 6. So we do 3. And then however many Cybermen we get. Oh no, it's fucking non-token, dude. Oh wait, they're non-token. Okay, yeah. I'm not dumb. Shut up. And then we get to draw a few. But if we don't have that and we don't have that, everything really fucking sucks. And our card draw engines, I do not think are plentiful enough. Like, I think we have... I think having 7 things and I want to touch cards is okay. I think you should have either more or have better ones, or drop at least one of the more generic graveyard shenanigan payoffs. Because truly this deck, like, the heart of this deck is we need to cast Cyber Controller for a large amount of mana, and we need to turn that into 2/2s that become 3/3s because of Cyber Controller that we then beat people to death with. And we have 12 cards. We have 12 cards that are dedicated to shit that our commander isn't doing. Just because they're funny. And I do love funny cards. I think 12 might be a little bit much. Versus having something like, if you're already shitting mana, colorless creatures getting +3/+2. Colorless creatures getting +3/+2 is way better for you than probably half of the other stuff you could drop. Cyberman Patrol is probably the only synergy piece that is superior to turning all of your Cybermen into 6/5s. And so I think in general I would cut down on all of this silly, and I would add a few more ways to even if you want to keep a little bit of graveyard theft. I'll tell you what, if you want to keep stealing from the graveyard with like Virtue of Persistence, or even if you want to take like Reanimate or Breach the Multiverse, then this is a deck that would like Wheels, like Windfall, because you can fill up your opponent's graveyards to then later take from, but you can 100% draw your deck in the wrong order. Like if you just draw some of these for when my soldiers die pieces, or this like interaction too early, and you don't get a ton of mana rocks, you're sitting there for like 6 turns wide open. And if you play, like I play against Nerd Girl all the time, and she has Werewolf Hunger. She will not leave damage unused on the table for any reason. And this is a deck that is screaming, punch me in the teeth, because everything I'm doing takes a really, really long time to set up, and the payoff will be heinous, but it can be interrupted if you just use player removal. And so I think you need stuff that's like 2 or 3 mana. 2 or 3 mana, like Frantic Search, like Windfall, like Chart a Course, like Thirst for Discovery, that will let you rip to the things you really need to get going earlier. Because in contrast to the Ashnod deck we looked at, this deck did not have anything to say at the beginning of the game, and it had barely anything to say in the middle of the game, and it was really just after people have forgotten about you, you're going to pop out and show them. Right? After the game's been going on for about an hour, it's the Cyberman time, and then you get them. And I think that takes too long, and I think to fix that, you want more like draw and discard, get me through this shit. And in terms of top-end synergies, hitting people with hammers is always the best thing you can do if your goal is to go wide. So with that, we're going to move on to Deceased Skyrat's Spooky deck. This is the 3rd round of Pet Commander decks I initially began having roasted, and my personal favorite since I share a name with the commander. That's right, you can't dox me if I do it to myself. My home address is 123 Redacted Avenue. Fast life gain into Sexy Angel Kindred. Will is here to enforce peace and the will of God Almighty through the power of gatekeeping, gaslighting, and Sexy Angel Mommy violence. This deck has been retired in casual pods due to a high win rate and somewhat oppressive gameplay. I believe that. Nobody's prepared for flyers. Getting horny. Okay. I see you. Gimme. Real as hell. I love stealing. I love taking things. Absolute Creature. These are, in fact, creatures. Oh, Will Nye the Scion guy. Also a phenomenal overall naming convention. 33 lands is low, but your commander's 3 mana and has built-in cost reduction. The sun is a deadly laser. Phenomenal. We may be able to make a religion out of this. Overwhelming Violence. Yeah, Drogskull Reaver's crazy. Moonshaker Cavalry's crazy. God and his son Jesus. Yeah, so we want repeatable life gain and bullshit expensive creatures. Looks like we have a pretty conservative spread of these bullshit expensive creatures. Mommy Kindred gains us life, benefits from gaining us life. Hot as hell benefits from gaining us life. Presumably the angels are hot as hell. Gains us life. Turns life into damage. Ooh. You fucked up. You fucked up. Yeah, I would say at a casual table, I'm with most of this. And it is very unsurprising to me that expropriate. All right, bro. Hold on. Wait a goddamn minute. Yeah, homie. You know what? I fully believe you need to retire the Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe, extra turn spells deck from the casual table. Like, I think the thing is, and here's what I'm getting at, is the stuff that's making it oppressive is entirely divorced from the things you said were fun about this deck. The things you presented that were fun about this deck are fast life gain, sexy angels, gatekeeping and gaslighting, and turn 5 expropriate. Like turn 5 expropriate, Nexus of Fate, time stretch, whatever. None of these things are necessary in the spirit of this deck. So my argument would be, why not simply remove these cards that are creating the problematic and oppressive gameplay, because they're not related to the gimmick at all. Like, they're just good, and they're also good in any deck that can make mana. And so if you care about Sexy Angel Gang is here to step on you and take your lunch money, I wanted to leave this unchanged so you could scold me for it. I felt I hadn't been punished enough. That is fair, because, like, Quain, I love. Quain is a good card, and he's fueling the shit you're doing, right? It's beautiful. And then, like, Blue Sun's Twilight. Listen, I have a soft spot in my heart for stealing and taking things. So I'm never going to tell you no on stealing and taking things. But, like, Smothering Tithe, you already fart mana. This is like the Joey Schultz deck building paralysis EDH rec demon. This man right? This is EDH Rec is a beautiful resource. It is so good in so many ways. When you present a deck with a gimmick, and the gimmick is already good, cheating massive mommy flyers into play is already good. We do not need to sully it with a card that can go into every white deck. He is so handsome. It is difficult to resist, and that is why you must try harder. This is why you gotta fight, you guys. You can't just roll over and take it. Ayo. So now we're going to draw. We'll gain a life. We don't even need to use this. We just get to do Shabazz. So next turn, we're up a life. We're up a life. We draw. So we're up 2. So we tap. This is a white and a blue. This is 2 white. Like, even if we pretend that this never triggered, Raid Zero, thank you for that updated information. I have edited the instructions. So even the people behind Erdtree argue for, right, it's don't just pick the good stuff. Because right now, this deck is humming along. Like, we can Blue Sun's Twilight and do something incredibly powerful. We have so much cost reduction. This deck could be jammed full of really expensive angels or just anything in blue-white that constituted being a mommy. But instead, we're drawing Psych Rift and Farewell. Instead, we're drawing Teferi's Protection, and we're drawing Rhystic Study and Smothering Tithe, when truly I do not think we need it. Like, card draw is good, yada yada yada, but you can use some really geeked up and expensive card draw that you then cost reduce with Will Scion of Peace. You don't need the most popular card draw engine that has ever been invented in Magic the Gathering. You don't need Expropriate, because you don't need extra turns when you swing with 15 10-10 angels whose grippers are out and thangs are thanging. It's simply overkill, my friend. So we can lead you into the promised land. But for right now, and it seems like you understand, you certainly understand the problems yourself, and I have faith in your ability to overcome it. But right now, you are joining me in the land of overly sponsored by Erdtree. Does Smothering Tithe become more flavorful if I use the anime art? No. No, it does not. Stop trying to force Smothering Tithe into your decks that are already cheating. Right? You already have Smothering Tithe handled. You already have Smothering Tithe handled. Oh, Intruder Alarm. That is crafty. Yeah, see, like, this is the shit where this is also a busted card, but this becomes so specifically, so precisely busted inside Will in a way that Smothering Tithe, like, Smothering Tithe will never give you the satisfaction that tapping Will 4 times as you continue to cast cheaper and cheaper creatures will give you. Because, like, even if, you know, you can replace these with, like, artifact creatures that are mommies. Look for the mommy bots, right? Mommy bots roll out. And then all of this Will cheating can really pay off for you. So with that, we're going to move on to the Gloves deck, which is scary. Hi, Mald. I don't have any funny references this time. This is just my favorite deck that I've kept together since I first got the Commander. It wasn't always like this, but it has faced enough 7s to become the submarine that sinks everyone else's battlecruiser decks. This bastard of a reanimation deck has grown infamous in almost a dozen playgroups across multiple states. Shout out to Tuesday Group, my boy out in Fresno, and the peeps at Wargamers. I hope you enjoy, and I'll be back next month with more from Mrs. the Glove. Thank you so much for sending this in. I think, conservatively, the problem that every Sephiroth deck I've seen has suffered from is that dungeons are so limited you can't help but build an EDH-Rec version of it, but we'll see if with $2,000 in the bank you overcame that. Roses are red, violets are blue. It don't always be like that, but sometimes it do. 31 lands is low, but we know you're not paying for anything in the first place. Thank you for this scone, baby. Appreciate it. Thank you. Big meanies. This is absolutely the EDH-Rec Reanimator collection. And, I mean, yeah, big meanies. Board wipe me, I dare you. Pretty good, yeah. Pretty decent. Domain expansion cheating. My cursed technique is shoplifting. You didn't see that coming, did you, Gojo? Yeah, the dumb stuff is good. Oh, is Delny hitting? Oh, you crafty bitch. Delny hits Sephiroth. Oh, that makes me upset. I love Demonstrate. This is a baller move. It's certainly asymmetrical because anything you reanimate is going to be so much worse than what anybody else reanimates. But I do respect you for going for the Demonstrate. Foils that something about how I can't pay rent. With white fog. Get your rocks off. Oh god, cut this by the way. It's that kind of deck. Oh brother. Oh brother, welcome to the party. You are the EDH-Rec section. You are taken over. This is everything in Esper that makes motherfuckers hate Esper. You are the person that radicalizes people against the control players. And then we have goddamn Cathar Commando. The combo gritty. Buried alive. So if we put these all in the graveyard. Oh no. Oh, that's horrible. Trigger, trigger, trigger. That's pretty good, yeah. You want as many ways as possible to be triggering Sephiroth on every turn around the table. Yeah, I can see reanimate the angel and then these two do some bullshit. So I think, in a very weird way, this doesn't look like every other Sephiroth deck. Like, it doesn't copy all the dungeon stuff that all the Sephiroth players do, but it is a Esper hateful shit highlight reel. So I guess we entomb. I'm gonna entomb the fucking angel. Well, the glove, that's what, okay, hold on. This is true. Let me put your deck through the legitimate paces after we do this playtest. Oh, we would have played this, oh, we couldn't have played this on turn 2. So I messed up the order of this a little bit. We'll surveil that away just because we're flooding a little bit. On someone else's turn, we'll draw a card, and we'll discard this guy. We will dungeon it up. We'll drop this, and then we consecrated Sphinx and just win off of Consecrated Sphinx existing. So let me look at the sort of quintessential Esper hate cards that I'm thinking of. Top multicolor cards. How do I... So I guess like top cards, let's go to black. How popular... 5%? I may just have brain rot. Alright, and then... Or actually, where's Salt Score? Because I feel like it's not going to be in the very top, but when I look at this... Okay, 2.14, which I don't think is particularly high. Never mind. The highest score is 2.99. So 2.14. 1.84 and or 1.83. Oh, it's Consecrated Sphinx not on the list. $1.94. So how high up are we? I think we're in the top 100. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 42, 46, 50, 54, 58. So this is 58. Mrs. the Glove says, check the primer. Spray with water, get off the table. I mean, honestly, like, I will give you points for, I guess, really the part that stands out as EDH wrecked is the part that you called out as it's that kind of deck. Right? These 12 cards are 100% disconnected from anything that Sephiroth is doing, and these 12 cards are just, it's in these colors, and they're good as fuck. So I will meet you in the middle, and I will say that the bulk of what you're doing, I like. I think you have, I think your trigger section is pretty reliable, and will probably go off the way you want it to. I think the things you're reanimating, they're definitely big meanies. Right? I cannot fault you there, and I think this is more of like, this is a collection of the cards that I think are fucked up. And I gotta tell you, I agree with you. Mana curve on point, my life is dedicated to the curve. Yeah, just a gentle sloping to the left, which is totally natural, and I hear that people enjoy it. So we get this guy out. We get this guy. Boom, we're Sephirothing. Take the initiative, immediately sacrifice him. We're in dungeons. Play this guy. Sack this guy. Put that to bottom. See, and now we kind of don't have stuff to do because we have four of these of the hateful EDH rec cards instead of useful things, and so we'll just kind of pass and wait. We don't want to sack any of these guys. We can play this. Get treasure. Well, yeah. If we get the treasures. And now we can pay 2 life. And now I think we win. We'll move that in. Move that in. Can I get a goddamn creature? Move that in. Fuck the tutor. We'll put animate dead on top. And then we'll animate dead the Archon. And then we fucking blow everybody up. So I think it's good. Rather than a condemnation, I would challenge you to drop probably the worst of these, which I would say is like, or the most groan-inducing, which I would say is probably Rhystic Study, Bowmasters, and Drannith Magistrate, because they fully don't serve you in any capacity other than to be groan-inducing and be an Esper. Esper Sentinel is like a creature, like ostensibly a creature you can sacrifice or reanimate. Which I guess so is Bowmasters, but also fuck them. And so I don't think these cards have to leave. But I would challenge you to see if you could find more specifically enjoyable cards for the deck. Ugly Paintings also raises a good point of, I don't think you have a lot of good targets for Flare of Denial. But I guess you're on Reanimator, so who cares if you have great targets? You just want something in the trash can to have it there. I do think you hit the mark of Necromancy. I do think you hit the mark of Scary for sure. You might need to mulligan a little bit, but I do think Scary comes together pretty quickly here. We're going to move on to Whitebread's deck, which is silly and spooky. I used to think Mike Tyson was the man behind the creation of Tyson Chicken Nuggets. With that in mind, I set forth to show people that Nuggets can throw hands just as well as the boxer. Displaced Dinosaurs is one of my favorite cards, and I used to be pretty angry about its non-legendary status until I found the old Rocco Tutor strat. So the goal of this deck is to get to 10 mana to get out my secret commander, Displaced Dinosaurs, then fill my board with food tokens that happen to be 7/7s and go wide with them. I thought it was pure silliness, and it probably is, but I've won all 4 games I've played with it so far, and it's now one of my favorites. This is beautiful. I am incredibly anxious to see if you live up to what you have just promised me. But when I talk about gimmickry, I hate that I'm saying this about a Naya player, by the way. That's gross. But when I talk about gimmickry, when I talk about being silly, when I talk about making a commander deck not just because it's something generically good that goes with your commander, but because you had a fever dream that you want to see come to life, this is what the fuck I am talking about. Lethal Dino Nuggets because you let me get 10 mana. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Amazing. This is also why we should all be cool with land destruction, because do you see what the green players are doing when they get 10 mana? Do you see what's happening when you let them cultivate? You get eaten by Dino Nuggets. Oh, she bad as hell. Alright, so the goal. Make a million food tokens. Kill people with food tokens. Academy Manufacturer, certainly a generic card, but works perfectly with Displaced Dinosaurs because all of these are historics. 35 lands, hyper reasonable. Fucking goddamn Fanatic of Ronos is back to ruin my day. Treasures is great. "16 ways to make this mana" is horrifying. Nuggets, 19 ways to make nuggets. We have interaction. The Naya player is not content with just being the problem. They must be the problem and kick everybody else square in the cooter. I think that these three are the pieces of interaction I really like. The rest are pretty generic, and it's hard to get non-generic interaction since most interaction just says shoot a thing. So the fact that you got 3 that play to your deck's strengths makes sense to me. Restocking Nuggets. Also is Bloomburrow. I hate that creatures you control have 10 power or greater is like, oh wow, that's a totally reasonable condition in this deck. Trample is very important. Yeah, Idol of Oblivion probably fucking works, I guess. Why are people trying to kill the chef? So I guess this is the only thing I would question. Oh no, it's permanence. Okay, so this is board wipe protection. Yeah, let's see how it runs. Alright, boys, turn 7. Turn 7, we've got 3 mana. Where does this curve start? How unlucky was that? The curve does start at 3. So any hand with less than 3 lands is unkeepable, and any hand that doesn't have a forest is probably unkeepable. So this is our free mulligan. If we don't draw this land, we're so fucked. I'm gonna bet that in 3 turns we will draw it. And of course we got fucking Soul Ring. Jarthur, thank you for coming by the stream. I hope you enjoyed it, my friend. So now we have Provisioner. We're not color fixed yet. And we are out of, so we'll Benny Brax. Okay, now we have a treasure. So we're going to get a draw off Benny Brax. Colossal Majesty does not help us very much here. And I don't want to sack our treasure. We don't even need Rocco now. It's so Jover. Okay, Parallel Lives, turn 5. Alright. I'm going to do this and then make a food to draw off Benny Brax. And then Colossal Majesty so that we can start drawing off Galadriel. Alright, make a treasure. What treasure could I have made, Drama? I didn't think I had any lands in hand. So I think this is turn 8 and has like gotten off a little too slowly. So let's mulligan more aggressively. This is our free one. We have no red, so we're going to go down to 6. I'll keep this and I'll dump Generous Gift. This and this tapped and this. So hoo boy, we have 7 mana available. We need to count to 10. We will do this because we can't use this 3. And I'll dump Wild Growth and I'll make 2 treasures. Alright. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are 1 mana shy of casting our true commander. We need power 4 or greater. I think we Smuggler's Share and I will be generous and say that we got a treasure off of it. And then on our turn, we will Rocco for 10. We will displace dinosaurs. Then next turn, I think we dump this. We do this for parallel lives, white here, green here, get white out, swing with our fucking useless commander, make 2 7/7 foods. Actually 7/7s. And then next turn, oh, this is going to be horrifying. Then we just swing out and make a bunch more foods. And then we heroic intervention. And then we kill everybody. Oh, this is... bread. This is nasty. Apothecary white. Oh, right, because she's historic. Holy fuck. So we will Spine Rock Knoll, Hideaway 4. We definitely want food generator. We wild growth this, so we get 2 white out of it, or 2 green out of it. And then probably Rocco, just to get more stuff going. Then we windfall, make a food, counter on Rocco. I'm gonna discard Swift Foot because I ain't no bitch, and I'll draw 2. I'll make 2 treasures. I'm gonna crack them all for Jaheira, and then the people making foods will pay for our commander, and then we have so much food, and we have a doubler. God damn. Okay. The only thing this is absolutely a national treasure. I love this gimmick. I would be mad as fuck if you hit me with it, because I would have nothing I would have nothing to do in response to this, and I would know it was my fault for letting you get 10 mana in Naya and not realizing what was coming to me. I love Dino Nuggets. This is phenomenal. The only thing I could suggest is the weakest point of the deck seemed to be those very early turns where you might not get the ramp you need, and cutting like 1 nugget generator, like cutting between 1 and 3 cards from either mana production or nuggets for things like faithless looting, even though you don't have recursion, or doing it for like demand answers. Anything you can do. Historic ramp, yeah, if you could get historic ramp, that would be good. So like more, or I don't think you need more ramp. I think you need more ways, because we did have to mulligan every playtest, and even after we mulliganed some of those playtests, it was multiple turns we didn't really love because we didn't have the exact right cards in hand. And so I think doing a little looting as a treat to make sure you get the right order could make it even more reliable. But I think you've done a great job with this. I think that you definitely have some of the things that are like more generic token doublers to support the gimmick, but for the most part, you've avoided things that are, oh, this is just good, right? You have things that are already good and are great because of the gimmick, and you don't really have anything that is like, oh, this is just a crazy fucking good card, and I have it in here because it's a crazy fucking good card. You avoided 7/7 Dockside. I salute you, White Bread. So really, other than like a little bit of card selection to make sure that you don't ever get screwed on turns like 2 to 5 if you miss a ramp spell or you miss a land, that is the only thing I can say about the construction of the deck. I love the gimmick as much as I would hate being hit by the gimmick. And I think the whole deck stays true to the gimmick. The fact that Glunch is here brings me so much visceral pleasure. Because, yeah, of course you're going to give away cards and counters. You're going to get 2 treasure tokens. You just have to count to 10. You're like an angry parent. I'm going to give you to the count of 10. And then I am not taking the Dino Nuggies away. I am giving you the Dino Nuggies against your will. I am giving you the Dino Nuggies forcefully after I count to 10. And so really tremendous job. With that is going to be the end of tonight's stream. We will be live again tomorrow at 1 p.m. doing more of the same. Thank you to everybody that has supported me on Patreon, that watched tonight, that followed tonight, that subscribed tonight. Welcome everyone to the dog home. I hope you've had a good week. And please remember to stay toxic.